Hi everyone, welcome to this tutorial for InDesign 2020. I'm going to be showing you how to set up a document for print purposes today. The document we will be creating is going to be a standard UK size business card. Obviously you can get very many different sizes, shapes, orientations for business cards these days. So we are just going to go with a typical business card, so the common business card that we are all familiar with. So in order to get started, we are going to create new. We can either click the create new button here or go file new document. There are also shortcut keys that you can use. So we're moving from the home screen into the workspace. The shortcut keys, if you wished, from the home screen, instead of going file menu or pushing the button or the icon, you could, if you're using a desktop, use the Control and N keys pushed down together, Control and N, or if you're using a Mac, you'd use the Command key and N together. So they're useful shortcut keys to know. So when you create a new document, this pop-up box appears. This is where you enter your dimensions and criteria for setting up your document. As you can see, there are a number of recent items appearing in these boxes on the screen. As mentioned, we have been pulled through to the workspace view, and this is currently in normal mode. The reason that we've been pulled through from the home screen into the workspace, and this is useful to know, is the preview box here is checked. And I recommend that you leave that checked. If it isn't checked, you would have remained on the home screen, and then I would say check it, tick the box, and in order for it to bring you through to the workspace, because that enables you to see when you're entering your dimensions for your page size or your dimensions for your margins and your guides, that it shows you them appearing on the screen behind the pop-up box, so you can see your documents coming together. And so I'll just demonstrate this for you with these presets. We have recent items here, and as you can see now in the background, because the preview box is checked and the workspace is open, you can see a number of different documents that are predefined appearing as they should according to these their setup instructions, their predefined setup instructions. They're appearing in the background accordingly. So another thing to know about the new document box is that you have various options here, print, for web and for mobile, and these basically provide you, these categories basically break down for you the documents into whether or not they're for print, for web or for mobile. So that's pretty obvious. You have a number of presets to choose from in the print category. You have A4 paper size, you have letter, legal and tabloid. You have various other presets here. If you click this, you have a number of templates here that you can, ready-made templates that you can purchase through the Adobe stock subscription. And some of them are free. So you can, you will know when you're creating a document for print as well, in this box, the units over here where you enter your dimensions automatically defaults to millimeters. That's another useful thing to know, because when you're designing for print, you define your document's criteria in millimeters. And again, if you was designing for digital, either web or mobile, this units over here, the units over here would automatically default to pixels. So if you're creating a document from scratch and you wanted to create it for the purposes of web design, you have to ensure that you've chosen the correct units if they have not already been defined for you. So for example, if we had just stayed in the recent box, by choosing the units here, and when you're setting up your document, InDesign will know the type of document that you're creating, whether it's for print or for digital. Okay, so let's get into creating our document. Let's enter the dimensions. So we're going to replace the width for this preset. We're going to change it to 85 millimeters by 55, which is the standard measurements for a standard typical UK business card. We're going to leave the orientation as landscape. If it was portrait, you can see it changing the background just for demonstration purposes. We're leaving it as landscape. That's what the typical layout is for a standard business card. We're creating a single-sided document today, so that's one page. If it was a double-sided document, you would enter 2 pages here, because then you would have 2 identical pages displayed upon this spread behind the document for you to create your artwork on. Facing pages we're going to remove, so we're leaving that as one page. Facing pages we're unchecking, because facing pages is for when you're creating documents with pages that face one another within it, such as a book, a magazine, a brochure, a pamphlet with multiple pages, and we can therefore ignore the start page number. Columns is for guide purposes. So when you're creating guides on your page, for example, if you're creating, it's not relevant for the business card, but if you were creating a leaflet, just so you know, you can create a guide for 3 different columns, say, for example, and the gutter, which is the space between the columns, would be the measurement in this box here. We don't need that for this purposes, but it is useful for you to know what that's for when it comes to creating your own leaflets, for example, a trifold leaflet. So margins, this is another form of guide for your page to work within or up to. So when you're designing a document for print purposes, any document, you require a safe zone. So the safe zone is the area inside of the edge of your document that you work up to for adding content that must be legible. So for example, for a business card, anything that is on there, such as a business name, logo, a person's name, an address, a telephone number, fax number, email, website address, any of that kind of information must be legible on your page, and it needs to be printed inside the safe zone or added inside the safe zone, so that when it goes to print, it allows for misalignment in the printing and cutting equipment by a couple of millimeters, and it's exactly the same for the bleed. So we're just going to add 3 here to the top margin, and because this chain here is currently linked, it makes all the settings the same. So when you tab over, it's automatically updated the top, bottom, left and right margins, and if that had been selected and broken, the link is broken, the chain is broken there, when you update one of them, it will not affect the others. So that's useful to know as well, in case you need to have separate defined measurements, different measurements. So again, the bleed is exactly the same as the safe zone, only it's for the outside of your edge of your page. It's the guide that you work up to for background colours and images, to ensure that everything that is to go to the edge of your page in terms of colour and background image does go to the edge of your page without showing any white background. So again, this is purely because when items go to print, when you send your document out to be printed to your professional printer, there can be misalignment in their equipment for printing or cutting, and then this is just effectively another safe zone that ensures that the document prints as in the way you expected it to. Yeah, so I hope that makes sense. Slug we can ignore for the purposes of our business card. Just to elaborate on the purpose of this area briefly, it is for providing whoever is doing your printing, providing them with instructions on the document that do not get printed. So for example, it could be that you need to add cut marks to your document. You would show them on your page, on your screen, and it would be in your file. However, the printer will know not to print this information. This is purely for instructional purposes for their benefit. Okay, so with that all said and done, that has been a walkthrough of the new document setup box. We click create, and here is our document all set up and ready to go. What I will say to you right now is that I have noticed that there is a problem with one of the margins. We defined the guides. So the guides here, we have a red guide, which is the bleed outside the edge of the document. This black line all the way around is the edge of your document. And this pink and purple line is your guide for your safe zone. Now, we know that the bleed and the safe zone were defined as the same measurements. One going, only they go opposite directions to each other. So the bleed is 3 millimeters outside of the edge of your page, and the safe zone was 3 millimeters inside the edge of your page. And these are clearly not equal distances apart. So there is an error somewhere on the page, which means that when you go to look at your, to fix this, you need to go to the layout menu, margins and columns. It's a really easy fix. What InDesign has done is pull through the information from one of the presets that had originally been selected, instead of pulling through the information that was defined. And again, we just correct it here. Again, if you wanted to add columns, this is where you would do it as well if you were working on a leaflet. And you can see that the changes happened because the preview box is selected. So I'm just going to click OK. And last thing that I'm going to show you with regards to this video is how to zoom in and out of your work. So there's two ways you can do this easily. So you can go view menu, zoom in to get closer, or view menu, zoom out to get further away, or you can use a shortcut key. If you're using a desktop like I am, it's Control minus, Control plus. And if you're using a Mac, it's Command key with A minus or A plus, depending on which way you would like to go. And obviously zoom in and zoom out is useful for if you're working with intricate details on your page and you want to get closer, then you zoom in. Even to check if images are being pixelated or not and things like that, the quality, you can also do that. So that's all I'm going to show you for today. I think that's more than enough in terms of creating a document for print purposes. This has been to show you how to create specifically a business card for print purposes. I hope that you found the information provided insightful and useful for your purposes, and look forward to seeing you in one of the next videos where I'll be demonstrating how to add content, and editing, formatting, all those kinds of things in the upcoming videos. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.